Well, hell, son, it's another episode of the Sharpshoot with AuSSy, and it's the final live episode of the Sharpshoot with AuSSy here on RopeBreakWrestling.com. We're talking why the Royal Rumble sucked besides Roman Reigns winning. Holy shit, I'm botching the beginning of this like I'm Roman Reigns. But anyways, we're talking why the Royal Rumble sucked besides Roman Reigns winning. And then we've got a ton of questions from you guys, the fans. Seeing that this is the last live episode, we're going to make sure that your questions are answered. And this week, I've got a pretty solid panel. I'm not going to say a great panel. I'm going to say a pretty solid panel at best. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first the host of React After Raw, Alec Kozubski. Alec, what is up, my brother?
Not much, man. Always great to be here on the Sharpshoot, especially on the last live episode of the show. I can't wait to see what we get into today, man.
Well, thanks for being on, man. We love having you. And, of course, for the first time ever on the Sharpshoot with AuSSy, and the last time ever, since this is the last episode, most likely, of the live version, ladies and gentlemen, the host of the Random Wrestling Podcast. It is OK Fabe. Connor, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing great. It's sorry it took me so long to get on here. I mean, geez. But at least I get the last live one. That's at least another notch on my belt. It's like kind of being on like the last Nitro. You're there. It counts. It counts.
You've made it officially. And OK Fabe has an awesome channel of his own. If you haven't checked it out already, go ahead and check it out on YouTube. He doesn't really need our endorsement on YouTube. He's got over 1,000 subscribers there. And his Random Wrestling Podcast is going to be making its way to RopeBreakWrestling.com. So keep a lookout for that and go check out what he's got on over there. But, fellas, I'm not going to waste any time because let's face it, like I said, this is the last Sharpshoot live edition ever. And we got tons of fan questions, fan-submitted topics that we're going to talk about. But first, I want to open the show by talking about the Royal Rumble. Yes, I said it. Now, yeah, right. Right now, there's a bunch of keyboard warriors geared up to comment on this video about how, why can't you guys just ever be happy with things? What? Well, listen. Opinions are like assholes. We've all got them, and that's all I'm going to say. And I'm just going to start off by asking you, gentlemen, why do you think there was such a negative reaction to Roman Reigns? Do you think, Alec, that it was because Roman is not ready, or do you think it was because everybody wanted to see Daniel Bryan win? Because I think those are the two mediums that we've got here, the solid two choices that we've got, and a lot of people are one end or the other. What do you think it is?
I mean, I can see the argument from both sides of the coin here. Obviously, we can tell that Roman Reigns doesn't have quite the skill set yet to really main event WrestleMania, and then especially, you have Brock Lesnar, who looks unbeatable, and it's kind of hard to believe that this guy's going to go in after Brock Lesnar's had such an impressive run and beat him at WrestleMania for the title. And, on the other side, it makes sense from a storytelling standpoint that Daniel Bryan should have won the Rumble, gone on to Mania, faced Lesnar, got the titles back. I mean, we know the whole thing that us, smarks want planned out for it. But I think mainly it comes down to, the majority of the people thinking that Roman Reigns just isn't ready for this yet.
And Connor, if you don't mind me calling you Connor, do you think the same thing? Do you think it's more Reigns not being ready, or do you think it's more people wanting to see Daniel Bryan in that position?
I think it's more people wanting Daniel Bryan. You have to understand this too. I think there's two major factors why Roman got the reaction that he did. Number one, they're in Philly. Philly are brutal crowd. ECW original. I mean, come on. They have been known to boo wrestlers into tears out of the building. No, seriously, and I've seen it happen. Bad, and not boo because you're a heel, boo because you suck. And and of course they're gonna favor their homeboy Daniel Bryan from Ring of Honor and all that stuff. And I think that if you favor Daniel Bryan in the way they told that story, as you were saying earlier, it does make sense. Coming back from injury, rallying through, will I retire? The retirement swerve, it does make sense. But on the other end of it too, and this is purely from just a general fan standpoint, not a hardcore fan. If you were to throw Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar against each other, especially after the match that Brock had at the Triple Threat for the world title, do we really honestly think Bryan would beat him? And I'm not saying that Bryan isn't good or that he couldn't have a good match with Brock, but just on paper, does it look believable? And so I kind of see why they would go with Reigns instead, because at least Reigns topples the giant off the mountain and all that. So I think it's a factor of two of those, because Daniel had such a strong story going into the Rumble, and Roman really kind of didn't. He had botched interviews and believed that. That's about it. So I think
not much to believe there, but you bring up a good point as far as the whole David versus Goliath matchup. A lot of people, were thinking, that's not believable. It's almost like Goldberg not wanting to put Chris Jericho over back in WCW. It's just not believable. Nobody's going to believe that Daniel Bryan can beat this monster that has become Brock Lesnar, who really is unbeatable. And we're going to get into that a little more later on in the show with a great fan question that I want to cover. But as far as the Philadelphia fans, I agree with that point as well, although I do think that we can expect to see a little bit of hate towards Roman Reigns moving forward until Paul Heyman fully engulfs every single fan like he began to on this past Monday night for the live in-studio episode of Monday Night Raw. But we've already got Rope Breakers weighing in here on YouTube. Tyler Ayers, he's commenting, Roman Reigns is my spirit animal. And then Jeff Levitt, who is a winner of our giveaway on Royal Rumble. Tyler Ayers actually was also a winner. Jeff Levitt took home a T-shirt from ProWrestlingTees.com. He said, it's definitely Daniel Bryan not winning. And then we got Kaz Love Hate says, hashtag justice for Axel. So a lot of people with the Curtis Axel joke about how he never got eliminated.
He never got in the ring. He never got in the ring.
I think that's a legitimate argument there, is that he never really got in the ring, so therefore he never really entered the match, if you think about it that way.
Lesnar put the belt on the line at Fastlane against Curtis Axel.
It's only fair, right, at this point? But the real proposal that I like here is submitted by NeoEgg104 on YouTube, who says, Curtis Axel versus Maven at WrestleMania. That's just funny stuff. Maven, of course, the winner of the original Tough Enough in 2001, which is going to be rebooted, and that whole story is up on RopeBreakWrestling.com, of course. Now, let's get right into these questions. Wait. Teased you. We're not getting into the questions quite yet, but I know a lot of people are looking for their question, wondering if their question's going to make the show. Is it going to be answered? It's going to be answered, jabronis. What we want to talk about here, and what I want to talk about, the main reason for this week's show, I want to talk about other reasons why the Royal Rumble was just not a good match at all. And I think if you listen to Talk is Jericho this week with Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, he really covered it excellently by saying that this match was just booked lazy. All around the board, multiple different top baby faces being dumped out of the ring like garbage. There really wasn't any writing done in this match, and we talked about this, Alec, myself, Matt, during the Royal Rumble React show, which, of course, you can go back and look at our reactions from all the best moments of the Royal Rumble. That's on our YouTube page as well. But, I mean, I just don't understand why they neglected to have any sort of theme to this match. It was kind of just a bunch of stuff everywhere. I mean, it started off good with Bray Wyatt and what he was doing with the promos, but Alec, can you even point to a good part in the match after that whole Bray Wyatt scenario? I mean, I really don't even see anything that ties into a future storyline.
No, you're right. There was nothing that really, stuck out after, Bray Wyatt's, powerful showing, which obviously is done to make him look stronger in case Undertaker decides to return for another WrestleMania bout. But after that, it just wasn't it wasn't exciting. I mean, if you go watch our React show, we all just kind of deflate and wait for this fucking Rumble to get over. We're just like, all right, we know Reigns is gonna win. You know, let's just get to the end. Like we all just deflated watching this Rumble, and it just was not. It was not a fun thing to watch. Usually, it's exciting. You're jumping off the couch, you're screaming, you're yelling, you're into it. And this one, it's just like, okay, you know, it was just too long. If they should have just done it earlier, really. If they were gonna, you know, book it so lazily, it should have just been earlier in the night.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that we said is, holy shit. I tweeted, after the whole pay-per-view was over, going from that triple threat title match to what we saw in the Royal Rumble was like going from having the best sex of your life to being dumped immediately after. It was just a terrible range of emotions there.
That can go either person. That can go either way depending on the person. I mean, I'm just. Oh, they're not. Oh, fantastic! It was like pulling off a Band-Aid. It was like, no, seriously, the Royal Rumble match was like pulling off a Band-Aid. You knew it was coming, you knew it was happening, and you got the Bray Wyatt momentum, which I thought was awesome. I did not expect that. But a good Royal Rumble match, I remember some from like years ago where like you had several different characters or several different scenarios that it created intrigue and interest that carried you out through even the slower moments of the Rumble. And this didn't have it. You had Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, and the Bray Wyatt like kind of struggle. Although Boogeyman coming back, I kind of popped for that. I'm not gonna lie. But it was just like ripping off a Band-Aid. It's like, okay, crap, Reigns is here. Okay, I gotta just get it over. Just pull off quick. Don't pull off. Oh, you're pulling off slow. Oh God. Oh, gee. Oh, okay. Now it's over and done with.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much what it was. But you alluded to past Royal Rumbles. What I want to say about past Royal Rumbles is we see what happens in the Royal Rumble, and I said this on our pre-show, is that normally, regardless of the winner, we usually get the beginning of several WrestleMania storylines. You look back along the years, you look back at, a WrestleMania 19, where you get Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels interacting in that Rumble match, and that ends up leading to a WrestleMania match. You look at Edge and Chris Jericho with that whole Royal Rumble, even though I believe Edge ended up winning and it led to their world title match at WrestleMania, it sowed the seeds for a potential feud, and that's not what we saw this past week. We didn't see anything. I mean, we saw a little bit from Cody Stardust and Goldust, but that was too late after Daniel Bryan was tossed out of the ring. Nobody could care less. And then we saw a little bit from Miz and Mizdow, but I think they wasted an opportunity there. Connor, is there any other potential feuds that they could have started in that Royal Rumble, or do you think that it was just just pure lazy booking?
I think honestly it was pure lazy booking. If WWE only cares about certain top matches at WrestleMania, usually it's like about 3 or 4, and the rest kind of fall into their own place lately. I miss the days where every single match at Mania, whether it be a 6-man tag or just or the world title, had something backing it, some storyline, some angle, some investment, some character development, something behind it for me to sink my teeth into. Going back to your Rumble analogy, Rumble 04, you had the winner who WWE doesn't like to mention because apparently he doesn't exist, and you had Taker and Kane. Kane had buried Undertaker 2 months prior. The gong went off. Kane got eliminated. You had Goldberg getting F5 by Brock Lesnar. Three WrestleMania matches from one Royal Rumble. You don't get that. You could have easily done something with Bray Wyatt. You could have easily done something with Bad News Barrett or Dolph Ziggler at least. You utilize and strategize. You have a huge opportunity to have majority of your roster in one spot at one time, and all eyes are going to be focused on this huge match. Take advantage of it. Play around with some ideas, tease some things in there. We like to be kind of like tormented and just kind of like, oh wait, they did this and that. This means that. Oh, maybe that means that. But they didn't do any of that. The best thing that came was the Bray Wyatt thing, but that was about it. It was just like, sheesh.
Yeah, we enjoy the foreplay, WWE. I mean, bring it to us. But I like what Kaz Love Hate says here on YouTube, and of course you can comment here on YouTube and your voice can be heard. Kaz Love Hate says Ziggler being 30 was lazy and kind of dumb. I agree. And the reason being is he comes out and he gets dumped like a piece of garbage. At that point, nobody cared. in the match. It was a waste. It was a complete waste. And that brings me to my next point. And Dave Meltzer brought this up on Talk is Jericho. If Daniel Bryan, I mean, I guess it just goes to show how out of touch WWE Creative and Vince McMahon are right now. If you're going to bring Daniel Bryan back, but he's not going to win that Royal Rumble match, you've got to know that there's going to be some type of fan backlash. Why even bother bringing Daniel Bryan back? Why not bring him back to the Raw after the Royal Rumble? Then you get none of this at all. No backlash towards Roman Reigns. None of that whatsoever. But instead, they decide to bring Daniel Bryan back. They sow the seeds for that story. Here comes the underdog with the broken freaking neck. And nothing happens with him. He just gets spilled out of the ring like a piece of garbage. And there's absolutely no idea going forward what Daniel Bryan's going to do. There's a couple rumors out there right now, but as far as WWE TV programming, there has been no seeds planted. Alec, I know you know about the rumor up on RopeBreakWrestling.com regarding Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania potential match at WrestleMania, I should say. If you go ahead and let us know about that match, and do you think that's the right move, or do you think it might be too late with Daniel Bryan now?
Well, the original rumor that was going around for Daniel Bryan was that Sheamus is set to return sometime soon as a heel, and WWE wanted to set up Sheamus versus Bryan 3 at WrestleMania 31. So that was the plan set in stone. And then after the Royal Rumble, Dolph Ziggler, tweeted out that he was rooting for DB to win, and that didn't happen. So that, in return, got a response from Daniel Bryan, and now they started lobbying for a match. They hashtag DB versus DZ for WrestleMania. And now, today, the rumor is that WWE has scrapped Sheamus versus Bryan and are going with Ziggler versus Bryan at WrestleMania. Not sure what the story quite is there yet, if it's just, two friends having, a good match trying to steal the show at WrestleMania. Ziggler sent out a pretty passionate note about how these two have had to fight through different circumstances to get where they are. So you can check that out on RopeBreakWrestling.com. It's going to be interesting to see. Not sure how this is going to play out on TV yet, because there's really no basis here. We don't know who's going to be face or heel, or it's just going to be two friends having a good match at WrestleMania. There's nothing that we can really base this off of right now, because we haven't seen any interaction between them on television yet.
Well, that's what Vince would say is, there's no such thing as heel and face anymore.
Right.
I got rid of that, which is stupid. But I agree with you, Alec. I think that going forward, if a match between the two is going to work, we have to have a face and a heel here. And I think if that's going to happen, I think it's got to be Dolph Ziggler. That's got to be the heel. I think he does some pretty good heel work. And, of course, Daniel Bryan, it's going to be tough to have him as a believable heel. But I think if anybody were to attack Daniel Bryan or do anything like that, they become instant heel. And I think Dolph Ziggler can do that. Now, the last thing I want to touch on, as far as the Royal Rumble and why the booking was lazy and everything like that, we got the Final Four. The Final Four included the two giants, Big Show and Kane, and Dean Ambrose and Reigns. Ambrose gets spilled like a glass of milk. And then we've got the final three being those two big guys, two big bad heels, and Reigns. At that point, you know it's going to be Reigns. And they continue the lazy booking by the way they had Reigns dump those guys out of the ring. It was completely lackluster. There was no peak. I don't know. It was just left a bad taste in my mouth. And Connor, do you think that there's anything that they could have done there to excite the crowd a little bit more with Roman Reigns' potential elimination of the Big Show and Kane? Or do you think at that point it was, no matter what happened, it was going to be Boo City?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think that, first off, I think WWE did try to do that with The Rock. And I think that backfired completely, and mainly because of the crowd. You take all them, put a sea of boos on Roman Reigns, and I know this probably wasn't WWE's intention, but I think that with sending The Rock out, it kind of made WWE look like, hey, we're forcing you to cheer for Roman because The Rock's here, kind of deal. But as far as how they made Roman look, what I would have done a little bit differently was I would have eliminated Kane first off and made it quick. struggle with the Big Show, kind of like shades of what Cesaro did at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, because he got over like $1 million with that one little like press slam over, and so that to me would have put him over again. But ultimately, no matter I think what was written for him, what was done, the crowd had already fermented in their minds, in their heads. They did not want Reigns to win. They didn't want him to win. They didn't want him to go over. So no matter what you did, he wouldn't have gone over. It would have changed a little bit, but I don't think it would have meant much at the really end of the day.
Yeah, I think you're right, to be honest with you. And I do want to I want to say one thing. And I think I speak for Alec here. I don't know what Connor's take on it is, but as far as Roman Reigns goes, I don't think there's anybody here, at least I know on RopeBreakWrestling.com, that's rooting against Roman Reigns. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea at all. I just think the way that he has been pushed has been extremely lazy, and that needs to change before WrestleMania, which it looks like Paul Heyman can become the savior there. Here's a couple of things that I would have done a little bit differently, and I know it's easy, hindsight's 2020, and it's easy to armchair book, but had they waited to bring Daniel Bryan back, maybe had they waited to bring back those fired superstars, at maybe surprise entrance in the Rumble or a little bit different, at least where you didn't know they were going to be there, then you could have also had Roman Reigns bring something out of the woodwork. An example being John Cena. I said it during the Royal Rumble React show. Every time there's a big-time match, hate him or love him, John Cena breaks out a couple moves out of the woodworks, whether it be the power bomb or the leg drop off the top rope, that let you know, hey, he's taking this match a little bit more serious than he does a Raw match or whatever. I think Roman Reigns, had he brought out a different side of himself or a little something different to show the fans there, like, hey, here's something new. I've been working on this. That might have yielded the booze a little bit too. But to be honest with you, to see the same old stuff that we've been forced on, that's been forced on us rather, for the past couple of months, of course people are not going to be happy with it. And I liken it right now, the state that Roman Reigns is in. I've said it before, I liken him to Rocky Maivia. It's not that he doesn't have absolutely massive potential, because he does. He's just not a diamond yet. He needs to be pressed a little bit more before he becomes that diamond that is The Rock. Or he might be the ringmaster now, but he's not Stone Cold Steve Austin. He might be Hunter Hearst Helmsley, but he's not Triple H. Shit, he might even be Terra Rising right now. But going forward, I want to get into some of these questions here. And if you're watching on YouTube right now live with us, first off, I want to say thank you very much. While you're here, if you can like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this with your friends, that would be awesome. The Sharpshoot is this is the last live Sharpshoot, but Sharpshoot will continue to air pre-recorded. We're bringing back all of those segments that you know and love. It's True, It's True, How Do You Like Me Now, and of course the Sharpshoot. And it's still going to air Thursday nights right before SmackDown. So don't go anywhere. Thursday nights will still be here. It's just not going to be live anymore. Also, while I got you here, do us a favor. RopeBreakWrestling.com, we're asking for your help. Right now, you can become a patron to our site. The link is in the description. You can donate as little or as much as you can. Any little bit helps. It counts. It keeps us going here. Like I've said so many times, we're just a couple of college students that are on ramen noodle budgets, and we can use your help. And then, of course, our friend Connor, OK Fabe, is here, and you can go and subscribe to his channel, OK Fabe. Listen to the Random Wrestling Podcast, and that's also coming to RopeBreakWrestling.com. That's going to be on Wednesdays, I believe, so stay tuned for that. His show is awesome. If you have not checked it out yet, go check it out. There's a little bit of random and a little bit of wrestling, as he likes to say. It's good stuff for sure. But getting into these questions here, I'm going to pose these questions to you guys first before I answer them, just to get a sense of what you're thinking, and then I can, bring in the opinion that really matters here, which is my own.
We gotta make sure
Well, it is your show, so.
We gotta make him look really strong. We gotta make him look really strong.
Yeah, gotta make me. And let's start off with a question here, which they're all anonymous questions, and you can ask anonymous questions too by going to our ask.fm account. It's up on our Facebook page right now. It's ask.fm/RopeBreakWrestling, and we answer questions on there all the time, all hours of the day and night, and of course, we're going to answer some right now. So I'm going to start with you, Connor. We've got a question here that says, Cesaro and Tyson Kidd cheered just because it was Philly, or are they just heels that everyone loves? The rumor is that WWE heard the reaction and changed their minds on Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. So I guess what they're asking is, do you think Tyson Kidd and Cesaro are basically babyface, or do you think they're still heels and they were just cheered because of that hardcore Philly crowd?
Honestly, I think it's a little bit of both. I need to be fair here. Cesaro has a huge Philly fan base, not only for Ring of Honor, but Chikara, which also started in Philly as well, too, that he has home roots for. So I think that's part of it as well, too. And I think it's one of those situations. Philly's one of those backwards, and I say this in the nicest way possible. They're one of those backwards crowds that always cheers for like the heels and all that stuff, too. So I think it's a combination of they were heels that we liked, plus it's Philly, too. So I think it's a combination of those two together.
Yeah, Philly is a straight-up heel crowd, always has been. They're kind of like Chicago. Chicago's not nearly as much as Philly, I wouldn't say. I think late at the end or the past couple of years they've been a little bit more so just because of CM Punk and he's been a heel here and there. Did I say that? I meant Phil Brooks, the UFC superstar. I'm gonna agree totally with Connor. I think that Cesaro and Kidd are gonna get cheers from those hardcore fans just because they're excellent in-ring competitors. It's impossible to deny. They're great wrestlers, great technicians. So from those fans, you're gonna get the cheers. It's gonna be more of those soccer moms, young children, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns fans that we're gonna see, the boos for. But moving forward, Alec, here's a question for you. And this would be one that Matt would have tackled himself a couple of months ago, but even he has claimed he's not too high on this guy anymore. But he still says, or the question says, how long before Ambrose is in the title picture, and what do you do with him at WrestleMania?
Oh, yeah, that is tough. Matt definitely would have tackled this question head on a few months ago, but I think his stock has fallen so far since that feud with Bray Wyatt. WWE doesn't know what they want to do with him. He's just kind of floating there on the card. There's been rumor of him turning heel, but we haven't seen that yet. And I don't know if we'll ever see Dean Ambrose in the title picture. I mean, there is a possibility depending on the storyline and who it's booked against. But as far as WrestleMania goes, I don't know. I don't see a match for him on the card. I don't see it. Maybe they throw him in a battle royal. I don't see. He doesn't have an opponent right now. That's the thing. He's not working a program with anybody. So I don't know. I don't know where Dean Ambrose falls.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough question. There's no doubt about it. And I think Dean Ambrose right now is probably the most crucial part of his career, just being the fact that he's in limbo. A couple months ago, he was the top face in the company, and now they kind of don't know what to do with him. I would say right now, the best bet looking forward is to pin him in a match or a feud with Bad News Barrett over the Intercontinental Championship, just because you've got Barrett, who's still a heel, even though he gets cheered. Put him against Ambrose. That elevates Barrett's heel status, and it also puts Ambrose in a meaningful feud for a meaningless title. Connor, looked like you wanted to say something.
I say, put him in the ring with Stephanie. Why not? You cannot tell me legitimately, if you put Ambrose and Stephanie McMahon in the ring at the same time, you cannot tell me that wouldn't sell tickets.
I think if you put Stephanie McMahon in the ring in ring gear, I'm always buying a ticket if I can possibly.
There you go.
But here's the problem that I have with that booking. I've already got Stephanie McMahon booked for a bra and panties match.
You can do double duty. She's done it before. Oh. Whoop.
I think technically that would be Triple H that did double duty. China, how you doing? I know you're a fan of the show. I know you watch regularly. Probably not. But either way, Dean Ambrose is in limbo, guys. I'm interested to know what everybody that's watching has to say about Dean Ambrose. And it looks like we've got a couple people that are weighing in already. Kyle C78 says, heel Dean Ambrose versus Daniel Bryan. That could be a pretty interesting feud as well. I don't know what it is about Dean Ambrose, and I've been like this about Ambrose since the Shield broke up, even when he was in the Shield. I understand why there's so much hype around the guy. He can be a great talker, but with this lunatic character, I think it's kind of, I don't know. I want to say that, I don't want to say it's limiting him, but I just don't have too much interest in him. Even his wrestling style right now, I don't know if it's just the feud that he had with Bray Wyatt just completely deflating him as if he were a football used by the Patriots, or if
call the fire department.
I honestly don't know what it is about Ambrose right now, but I'm just not genuinely interested. It must just be the booking, to be honest with you.
Well, see, unfortunately, they should have saved Ambrose Wyatt for Mania. That's what I would have done. I would have saved Wyatt and Ambrose for WrestleMania instead.
See, that feud had a lot of potential, but it was also like the Wyatt Cena feud. It was like the Wyatt Jericho feud, and I begin to think, is it Bray Wyatt here? That's Bray Wyatt is obviously the recurring theme here. It's not that he's not interesting, but the matches are just, I don't know. It's just not what you would expect from two up-and-coming superstars. Certainly not Shawn and Brett or anything like that by any means. But let's move on to the next question here, because I do want to get everybody out before the live SmackDown does start. We've got a couple really good questions in here. I do want to address a question that I already answered earlier in the day. Here's a question that came into us. Does anyone know where I could find or what Shawn Michaels' workout routine was back in the mid to late 90s? And I answered the question by saying this. I'm pretty sure the workout regimen was a few push-ups, some cocaine, and booze. Probably...
Let's not forget the shovel to bury people.
Yeah, between him and Diesel, yeah.
And then you have to lose your smile too.
Yeah. Don't forget to lose your smile. That's a key part of the workout. But moving forward here, Alec. Or no, who just got the last question? I just asked you the last question, Alec. How about I answer one myself here to start? We got a question here, and I'm kind of an expert in this part of the. I'm kind of an expert in this topic. Is there a chance of WWE throwing us a curveball and having Lesnar win at Mania, even if they have Rollins cash in on Raw the next night? At least that would make WrestleMania shocking again. The short answer to that is no. If there is a curveball, it's not going to be that one. I've all but accepted the fact that Brock Lesnar is not going to be with WWE anymore after WrestleMania, whether it be because he's going to UFC or because WWE doesn't want to pay him what he wants to be paid anymore. Don't know what the case will be, but even if he is sticking with the company, I don't expect him to be on Raw the following night. It would be like a thing like, see ya in the summertime. But as far as Rollins cashing in, right now I think the best possible scenario, in my opinion, would be for Roman Reigns to win the championship. And I don't know exactly how I want him to win the title yet, because and this is the next. We'll get into it with the next question. But right now, Brock Lesnar is an unstoppable force. So how does Roman Reigns believably beat Brock Lesnar? That's the first hill to tackle there. Second hill to tackle would be, I would have Seth Rollins stop his grill into the ground and take the title immediately from him within 10 minutes of him winning it at WrestleMania. I wouldn't wait till Raw the next day. You want to talk about getting major heat. Seth Rollins, the confetti still fresh. The confetti still falling from the sky. Out comes Seth Rollins. Curb stomps the son of a bee, takes the title, and then tomorrow night on Raw, Roman Reigns responds. Now you've got a main event feud that could possibly last you until SummerSlam between the two former Shield mates. And then who knows, maybe down the road towards SummerSlam you mix in Dean Ambrose and you get that triple threat match that everybody's wanted for the longest time. But the question is, and I know I'm kind of going off of the question there, but I already answered it. Connor, how would you have Brock Lesnar lose this championship here? Because at Royal Rumble, he took 25 attitude adjustments, a couple curb stomps, an elbow drop through a table, a broken rim. The guy's unstoppable.
This is really tricky because I said this when Brock broke the streak. WWE creatively wrote themselves into a corner in terms of what they can do to make things look believable and legit and all that stuff. So it's kind of, honestly, it's got me kind of intrigued on how they're going to do that too. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to have to do with Paul Heyman betraying him. That's literally the only thing I could possibly think of in order to make it legit. Because, I mean, theoretically, you could make Roman kind of squash Brock, but that's a little too...
Yeah.
It's a little too over the top. So my suggestion would probably be, if Brock's on his way out and if Paul is willing to stay, have Heyman betray Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31 and cost him the belt and side with the Authority or whatever have you, or do something like that. But that's literally the only real scenario. As far as the Money in the Bank cash-in, I actually had this crazy theory that we're going to see a double cash-in this year at Money in the Bank. So you have the winner of this year's cash-in against the champion, beat him, and then Seth comes out and then beats that person. It's out there.
That would be crazy. That's definitely out there, but that's what OK Fave's all about.
Yeah.
The only reason and a lot of people are with you with Roman joining up with Heyman and turning on Brock. The only reason I don't see that is because who is Roman Reigns going to feud with after WrestleMania there? That would be the big baby face that you could work into that story. Daniel Bryan. I mean, I just don't see how it would work. I think that you've got the natural feud there with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, where I think if anything you see Paul Heyman take Seth Rollins under his wing, maybe right after WrestleMania, as a way to sneak his way back into the title picture, and then down the road you have Heyman turn on Rollins, and then you know what I mean. It was just all along. It was just to weasel his way back into the title scenario, but that's out there as well.
I mean, I don't know exactly. I can't. I'm not that good of a fantasy booker, but I just have a feeling that in terms of the way they've set up Brock and Roman, it may not be directly or indirectly, but something. I think Heyman's the key to the whole thing, and I think that Heyman's going to cost Brock the belt, whether or not it's to Roman or maybe Rollins tries to cash in and Roman screws that up too. It all is going to revolve around Paul Heyman betraying Brock Lesnar. That's the only way I could possibly think it could work.
Yeah, it is going to revolve around Paul Heyman, definitely. And the funny thing about this is that Paul Heyman, after Brock Lesnar leaves, Paul Heyman could be arguably the top heel in the company as a manager, because if he somehow finds a way to screw Roman Reigns and or Brock Lesnar by aligning with Seth Rollins, I don't know. The guy has so many layers as a character, and we talk about character development, and characters just aren't developed anymore. Paul Heyman is a guy that is like one of those Grand's biscuits. You just keep tearing off layers and layers for days. You know what I mean? Alec, what's your take on the scenario? You see Heyman siding with Roman, or do you see him siding with Rollins, or do you think Brock stays? What's the deal?
I think naturally Heyman sides with Rollins just because Heyman works so much better as a heel. He works better with heels. It works so much better in that scenario. The way I have it playing out in my head is that, okay, at Mania, Reigns wins the title. He's celebrating. Lesnar's kind of sitting there, just in disbelief that he's lost. Obviously, the broken rib will play into this loss somehow.
Yep.
For a couple Raws before, they'll attack each other and the rib will get worse and worse. That's how WWE is going to weaken Brock Lesnar, which is absolutely stupid. But anyway, I think you see Lesnar go in for a handshake with Rollins. Congratulations, kid. Pick him up, F5 him. He's laying there on the mat. And then Heyman signals towards the curtain, calls out Rollins. Rollins cashes in, and then Rollins picks up the win and becomes the champion that way. And then that gives an opportunity for Lesnar to leave. I guess in the good graces of the fans who don't want Reigns to win, and you have Rollins as your champion. And as you said, you have a main event feud from after Mania until possibly SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's a great scenario, and I think that would make things a little bit more compelling than what they are now. I think that Paul Heyman is going to save this WrestleMania main event. Roman Reigns will continue to get better, and he will do his thing in the main event match. So nobody needs to jump ship, just yet. I don't think we need to, start burning down corporate or anything like too radical like that. But definitely some interesting storylines will be set here in the next couple of weeks. And I think by a week or two before WrestleMania, I think we'll be able to better predict what's going to happen with Heyman and Lesnar and all sorts of different stuff like that. Now, I know we haven't gotten to all the questions here that were posed to us, but there's one more that I want to cover here before we leave. But before that, I'm going to reward those that are watching on YouTube by answering their questions quickly here. And we've got a lot of people weighing in. Taylor Gang 99 too says they've honestly booked Ambrose terribly. I don't think they have any plans for him. Tyler Ayers says the fact that he's still over despite the booking is a miracle. And then Tyler Ayers says the way that Roman's going to win at WrestleMania is a Superman punch and then a spear. Lesnar will be out. Believe that. And then Kaz Love Hate reminds us anybody that beats Brock beats Cena and Undertaker in theory, just based off of him ending the streak and then destroying John Cena on multiple occasions. And then Kaz Love Hate also proposes Enzo Amore versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 31.
Oh, boy.
And you can't teach that. All right. Let me move into my final spot here for the show. Once again, it's the Sharpshoot with AuSSy. This is the final live edition, guys. But don't worry, because beginning next week, we'll bring you back all the segments you know and love. It's true, it's true. How do you like me now? Nick the Cena fan will be back on the show. We'll have the Sharpshoot again. And I want you guys to continue submitting questions and topic suggestions on our Ask.fm page, which is, again, ask.fm/RopeBreakWrestling. You can also tweet us at RopeBreakWrestling. Use the hashtag Sharpshoot, and your topic could be featured in next week's show. Now, what are we going to talk about? Everybody's wondering. What's going to be the final suggestion and or question? And it's a real simple question. If you were booking WrestleMania, what would the card be as of right now? And I've got a couple things written down. This is obviously a tough one because there's still a month plus of WWE programming that we actually what? There's 2 months. Yeah, there's 2 months of programming before WrestleMania. So plenty of time for different stuff to develop. And here's what I've got so far. Obviously, in the main event, we're going to have Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It appears that we're also going to have Triple H versus Sting in an angle that's going to somehow revolve around control. I don't know if it involves Sting potentially becoming the general manager or the authority on the show, or if Shane McMahon or Vince McMahon will be involved in this angle in any way, but we do expect Triple H versus Sting at some point. Another match that's been rumored that I'm going to throw on my card just because it's a safe match to throw on the card is Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker. Now, a lot of people are 100% sold on this. I'm not 100% sold that The Undertaker is actually going to come back. But this has happened in the past where people are like, he's done, he ain't coming back, and then all of a sudden the bell tolls. So I think that remains to be seen. But I think Wyatt versus Taker would be an interesting matchup. Maybe I just don't know where they would go with that one, but that's a discussion for a different show. We will continue with what I got here. I've got Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler. The way I would do that is somehow work an angle that sees Dolph Ziggler regain that Intercontinental Championship from Bad News Barrett, and then quickly get that into a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship between Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler. You want to talk about stealing the show? That would definitely do the trick there. Then here's some sleepers. These are just oddballs that I've tossed out there that may or may not happen. Most likely not going to happen, though. I have Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. And in that match, the Money in the Bank contract would be up for grabs. I've got the Ascension, who will have defeated the Usos for the titles at that point, taking on the returning Dudley Boys in a tables match for those tag team titles, with the Ascension going over on the Dudleys there. I've also got I had something else thought up, but now I can't think of it. There's obviously going to be a Battle Royale. That's been a rumor. Question is if it's going to be the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale again or not. That remains to be seen. And then, obviously there's a Divas match that needs to be taken care of. I'm not even going to book that one just yet because we have no idea. I mean, there's really nothing of interest. I would probably say, looking at it right now, the only feasible option is going to be Bella versus Bella again, because I've said for a while now that I think Brie Bella's heel turn to join Nikki has been, a cover-up or a fake for, and then she's eventually going to turn back and those two are going to battle at WrestleMania. But it's not looking like that. Each and every week, it looks more and more like they just wanted us to completely forget that Brie was supposed to be Nikki's bitch and everything like that. So, I don't know. That remains to be seen. Guys, I'll throw it out. It's an open floor. Are there any matches that I didn't list that you think would be able to steal the show on a potential WrestleMania 31 card?
I think the Bryan Ziggler one's kind of obvious. That one could definitely do. Did you have Rollins face?
What's that?
Who did you have Seth Rollins face?
Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose.
Oh, with the briefcase?
With a briefcase on the line.
I would have made that a ladder match.
That could be a ladder match too. I'm fine with throwing hell, Brock and Roman could be a ladder match. No, I'm kidding.
I think all those could have been. It would show steelers, but I think Bryan Ziggler would definitely be the. I think that would be the big one.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Tyler Ayers says Cody versus Goldie. Jeremiah Golder says Miz versus Mizdow. I think those are two potential matches that'll probably end up making a card. And the Castle of Hate reiterates Enzo Amore versus The Undertaker. Alec, are there any matches that you want to see? Not necessarily that are going to happen, but maybe something you want to see or something you do think is going to happen?
We've kind of covered everything, but just as an oddball match here, Cena versus Rusev, loser leaves America match.
Oh,
just
man.
As an oddball match, loser leaves America. I'm just throwing that out there as kind of the oddball matchup.
I had completely forgotten about that match because obviously that match is going to be on the card. At least I would think so now. I think, and I booked this on the website before we did the reboot, so it's no longer available, but for Fantasy Booking Friday, which is something that we do on RopeBreakWrestling.com, I had booked an angle where John Cena faced Rusev at Fastlane, which is happening. It's happening. So maybe WWE got caught drift of this booking that I made, and they're going to roll with it. We'll see. But I had Cena versus Rusev at Fastlane, and then I had Hulk Hogan standing ringside with John Cena, because it's America. We got to defeat this Russian piece of crap, blah, blah, blah. And Hogan's a big USA and a big Cena guy. So you got Hogan on the side there. But what happens when Rusev applies the accolade to John Cena. Brother. Hulk Hogan gets in there, and he, in true Hulk Hogan fashion, makes the whole goddamn show about himself. And Hogan drops the leg. He drops the leg on Rusev. Listen, we've been hearing rumors running rampant the past week about Hulk Hogan wanting to get back in the ring for one more match, one more go. Why not set this up here? He wants one more run. Why not have Hulk Hogan screws John Cena over by disqualifying him at Fastlane? Then you get a little angle going between them two where you say, Cena, it's like an anything you can do, I can do better type thing. Cena and Hogan. Hogan's telling him, I was just trying to help you, brother. Cena, I don't need your help. We're starting to see the seeds of John Cena maybe turning heel. And then at WrestleMania, whoever's the authority or the power figure says, all right, let's have Hogan versus Cena versus Rusev. Which one of you guys can finally knock off Rusev? And then guess what? Neither of them knocks Rusev off. He applies that gigantic foot to the face of both of those two jabronis, and then you continue that angle where the only reason I didn't win is because you, brother. The only reason I didn't win is because you, blah, blah, blah. Cena can fully turn heel, and we can have Cena Hogan at SummerSlam, and then they can both ride off in the sunset, and I'll never have to see either of their roided up, tan, candy asses ever again. And Kyle says, how about Rusev versus the Iron Sheik versus John Cena versus Hogan? No, thanks, Kyle.
Put Nikolai Volkov, Iron Sheik, and Rusev in a topical debate. Yeah, let's see how that goes. No translators at ringside.
Yeah. All right, but I think that's pretty much the end of it here, guys. I mean, I don't have a box of tissues. I do feel like I'm choked up. I'm going to start crying. This is the last live episode of the Sharpshoot, but never fear. We will be back next week with a amped up version of the Sharpshoot. I guarantee you don't want to miss it. It's the Sharpshoot. It'll be back same time next Thursday before SmackDown. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank my panel, OK Fabe. Once again, check his channel out, OK Fabe on YouTube. Subscribe to him. Go check him out at OK Fabe on Twitter. And Connor, thanks for joining us, man.
My pleasure. Sorry it took me so long to get here, but man, I had a blast.
No problem, bro. We enjoyed having you, and we can't wait to see the Random Wrestling Podcast up on RopeBreakWrestling.com. And, of course, the host of the #1 show in all of the land, React After Raw. That is Alec Kozubski. Alec, as always, man, it's a pleasure. I couldn't think of the Sharpshoot going out with a bigger bang than having you on the show, man. Thank you for being a part of so many of these live episodes. We look forward to having you on a pre-recorded version of the show.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. It's always been a great pleasure being on the show. Always great having you on React, and it's sad to see it, go well live, but guys, it's coming back in its old format, and it's a great show. So make sure you tune in.
That's right. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and sticking with us throughout the entire show. I'm going to let you go get to the new SmackDown live episode right now. Go check it out. And I'll be live tweeting on our Twitter, so follow us at Rope Break Wrestling. Go like us on Facebook, Rope Break Wrestling. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and, of course, share this video as well. We'll be back next week. Until then, I'm AuSSy. That's OK Fabe, and that's Alec. And this has been The Sharpshoot with AuSSy. See you next week, guys.